Page 80. Number 18. But wherefore could I not pronounce Amen? I had most need of blessing, and Amen stuck in my throat. Act 2, Scene 2, page 55. This is a part of Macbeth's ravings after his murder of Duncan. The agony of the conscience-stricken soul is revealed in these delirious speeches. Before the murder he has hesitated and recoiled. Now he is raving and repining. His mind is sorely convulsed. He could not say Amen. He had most need of blessing, yet Amen stuck in his throat. He is penitent that he cannot join the invocation of blessings in God. Quote, that he feels he needs or even speaks of God's blessings on his deed is an astonishing revelation of his state of mind. Unquote. Dover Wilson. These words reveal Macbeth's state of mind at the moment. It is this remorseful and penitent Macbeth that wins our sympathy. It is worth noting that Shakespeare so contrives the murder scene that our sympathy goes to the criminal and not to the victim. Murder is mirrored in the soul of the agent. We realize the horror of the crime more through the murderer himself than through the actual commission of the deed. We look at Macbeth's crime with Macbeth's eyes. It is he who shows the horror and heinousness of the crime. In this way, Shakespeare enlists our sympathy in favor of Macbeth. Indeed, he makes a tragic hero out of a villain. Macbeth's career is that of a criminal, but his character is honorable. Word notes. Amen. So be it. 19. Methought I heard a voice, ellipsis, chief nourisher in life's feast. Act 2, Scene 2, page 56. The context is same as explanation number 18. Macbeth has murdered Duncan in his peaceful sleep. That gives Macbeth the torments of conscience. His writhings of remorse are indeed touching. He hears a voice crying that there will be no more sleep, because Macbeth murders men in their comfortable sleep. The voice he speaks of comes from within. It is his conscience which speaks to him in the form of a voice. Sleep unravels the tangled silk thread of care. Sleep is innocent. It is the most soothing and comforting thing. It comes to the innocent. It restores calm to the careworn mind. With sleep, the worries of each tired day are at rest. Sleep is the healing balm of injured minds. It is the course of food by which nature daily restores energy and strength to man's body and mind. It is the principal restorative agent. The lines reveal Macbeth's agony because he has murdered sleep. Furness, Furness, first points out that this famous speech was suggested to Shakespeare by the following passage from Holinshed, describing King Kenneth's murdering of his nephew. Quote, a voice was heard as he was in bed in the night time to take his rest. Think no, Kenneth, that the wicked slaughter of thee committed is kept secret from God. The king, being with his voice stricken into great dread and terror, passed the night without any sleep coming in his eye. Unquote. Shakespeare, however, gives a dramatic vividness to this suggestion by a wonderful transformation of it. The agitation of the moment puts Macbeth's imagination out of control, and he expressed himself as poets sometimes do in a stream of metaphors. Each metaphor is charged with intense, almost a personal feeling. Grierson, Grierson, remarks, quote, It is hard to believe that Shakespeare had not himself known the horrors of insomnia." Unquote. It is not true to say that these lines are an echo, if an ironical echo, of, quote, the sentiments of Sidney and other writers of love sonnets on sleep. Unquote. Word notes. Knits up, unravels, smooths. Ravelled, Ravell apostrophe D. Tangled. Sleeve, Sleave, that is silk thread. The death of each day's life, that is, death is the end of life, so sleep in the end of each day. Page 81. Sore labour's bath. Bath washes off the sweats of toil, so sleep washes off all traces of exhaustion. Bath refreshes a man who has undergone a heavy toil, so sleep refreshes the tired labourer. Great nation's second course. The second course at meals contain the most delicious dishes. By these items of food, nature restores energy and strength to man's body and mind. Quote, pudding appears evidently to have been the first course at dinner, the joint or roast being the second. Unquote. Arden edition by Muir, Muir. Here food is the first course and sleep is the second in nature's nourishment for human beings. Chief nourisher, that is, chief factor in nourishing human life. Life is a feast and sleep is the most nourishing food. Muir, Muir, suggests this expression may have been suggested by the earlier ravelled within quotes. Ravelled bread was wholemeal bread and could be regarded as chief nourisher. 20. Infirm of purpose, exclamation, ellipsis, that fears a painted devil. Act 2, Scene 2, page 57. This is from CU Honours Paper, 1997. Lady Macbeth says this to Macbeth in firm and bold tone when Macbeth refuses to carry back the daggers he has brought with him to the place of murder. Her husband's strange reactions to the murder have completely bewildered the lady. She did not know this side of Macbeth's character, his agony and remorse. Suddenly she notices the daggers that Macbeth has brought back. Her practical sense is awakened. She asks Macbeth to carry them back to the side of the sleeping grooms and smear them with blood. Macbeth is overpowered by fear. He cannot venture to revisit the scene of murder. Now Lady Macbeth reprimands him and accuses him of weakness and cowardice. She sets her teeth together in utter contempt when she describes him as, quote, infirm of purpose, unquote. She cannot understand the exact nature of the dread that keeps Macbeth back. There is little difference between the sleeping and the dead. Both are like pictures. Only a child would fear the picture of a devil. These lines are a further revelation of the undaunted mettle of Lady Macbeth. She is full of scorn for the vacillating, remorseful husband. Word notes. Are but as pictures, are no more to be feared than pictures. Painted devil, picture of a devil. Cross-refer Webster. White devil, Act 3, Scene 2, lines 151. Quote, terrify babes, my lord, with painted devils. Unquote. 21. Will all great Neptunes, ellipsis, green one red. Act 2, Scene 2, page 58. The context is same as explanation 18. Macbeth is staring at his blood-stained hands with a fixed, hard gaze. His eyes have got glued to his hands. The sight of the ghastly hands would, as it were, pull out his eyes from their sockets. His eyes stare in bewildered agony at his own hands. He wonders whether all the waters of the vast seas can ever wash his hands clean again. On the contrary, the blood in his hand may turn the seas red. These are magnificent lines revealing the vastness of Macbeth's sorrow at his moral defeat. The sense of guilt has completely possessed Macbeth. He is oblivious to the practical considerations. He knows that his guilt is enormous and its mark is not in his hand but in his soul. Macbeth broods on his own deed with horror and with profound sense of sorrow. The lines are beautiful as poetry. Each word is suggestive and telling. Colon. All these words are within quotes. All, great, Neptune's ocean, this blood. Homely monosyllables followed by long Latinized words resulting in a magnificent rhythm. Page 82. The passage is supposed to have been inspired by Seneca's lines in Phaedra, Phaedra. Quote, not Neptune, grandsire grave, next line, with all his ocean-folding flood, can purge and wash away, next line, this dunghill of foul stain, unquote. But the superb poetry of the lines in Shakespeare's. But the superb poetry of the lines is Shakespeare's. Word notes. Neptune's ocean. Ocean ruled by Neptune. Neptune is the god of the sea. Multitudinous seas means 1. All the seas taken together. 2. The many-waved seas, in brackets, with reference to its innumerable waves, bracket closed. 3. The countless masses of water on the surface of the globe. This is from Malone. The effect of homebred English alternating with togade words in the high Roman fashion is startling. It suggests the tempest-tossed soul of the speaker and at the same time pictures the wallowing waste of ocean very vividly. Incarnadine makes red. Shakespeare uses the word as a verb. It was an adjective in his time. Macbeth's intensity cannot be expressed by ordinary words. He creates new words to express the depth and intensity of his emotion. Quote, the long Latinized words preceded and followed by monosyllables give the effect of a boundless ocean. Unquote. This is Wilson. Green one red, making the green sea all red. Quote, the imagination of Macbeth dwells upon the conversion of the universal green into one pervading red. Unquote. This is from Elwin, Elwin. The first folio reads, green, 1, red. The fourth folio amends it. 22. Who's there? In the name of Beelzebub? Question mark. Dash, ellipsis, next line. Yet could not equivocate to heaven. Act 2, Scene 3, pages 60-61. This is from Porter's speech. He is half drunk and he hears a knocking at the gate of Macbeth's castle. In his drunken state, he imagines that he is a porter of Hell Gate and is admitting different persons in hell. The farmer he admits first. He committed suicide and so he has come to hell. The greedy farmer hoarded his corn on the expectation of scarcity. He expected the price would rise and thus he would gain a huge profit. But a bumper harvest frustrated his hopes and he feared that the price would fall as a result of plenty of corn. This would mean financial ruin for him. So he hanged himself. Suicide is a sin, and so the farmer is in hell. The porter humorously says that the farmer should bring sufficient handkerchief, as he would have to sweat in the fiery heat of hell. The porter hears a second knocking at the gate. He admits a Jesuit equivocator. He has made an ambiguous statement in court which had two meanings, to defend himself against another. But his equivocation did not save him from the treason that he committed in God's name. The porter's speech is full of topical allusions. The reference to the farmer recalls the plenty of corn and consequent fall in the price of corn in 1606. That ruined many a farmer. The mention of an equivocator is supposed to refer to Henry Garnet, Garnet, a Jesuit who was charged with complicity in the gunpowder plot. The trial of Garnet took place in 1606. He defended himself by means of the doctrine of equivocation, that is, he used words in a double sense, which may be both false and true. The Jesuits were accused of encouraging equivocation upon oath of swearing and forswearing with an easy conscience. The Jesuits were butts of attack by preachers in Elizabethan England. The topical allusions fix the date of Macbeth in 1606. The topical allusions fix the date of Macbeth in 1606. The porter's speech is considered by many Shakespearean scholars as spurious and interpolation. Coleridge doubted its authenticity. Schiller, Schiller, omitted it. Page 83. But De Quincey's, D-E, Quincey, De Quincey's famous defense and the strong argument of Professor Hales, Hales, have shown the Shakespearean qualities in the speech. NB. Consult the answer to the question 37 on Porter's speech. 23. Faith, here's an English tailor, roast your goose. Act 2, Scene 3, page 61-62. This is from Porter's speech. He imagines that he is a porter of Hellgate. He admits into hell those who are sent to suffer in hell. He has already admitted a farmer and an equivocator. Now he imagines that an English tailor is knocking at the gate. He committed a double crime. He cut cloth out of a French hose. The fashion of ample French hose tempted the dishonest tailor of the time to order an excessive quantity of cloth, of which he kept some for himself. Thus he stole a customer's cloth, and he imitated foreign fashion. The porter adds that the tailor will be quite happy here because he can heat his smoothing iron easily in the burning fire of hell. Here is an allusion to the English practice of imitating foreign fashion. This is a satiric hit at tailors who are notorious for stealing a part of the cloth given to them by customers for making garments. Dover Wilson explains, quote, "The tailor who has for years stolen cloth in the cutting out of the ampler garment of his customers tries the trick once too often in the making of French hose, which has fashion changed, become so close-fitting that any loss of cloth would be instantly detected." Unquote. This implies that the farmer, equivocator, and tailor go to hell not for their sins only, but because, quote, they are caught out by overreaching themselves, unquote. This is by Muir, M-U-I-R. Thus each becomes almost a symbol of Macbeth himself, who had similarly overreached himself. Word notes. French hose. French, therefore, tight hose according to one interpretation, and particularly large and baggy according to another. Hose, are breeches, breeches. Goose, tailor's iron for smoothing. Roast your goose, heat your smoothing iron. See explanation 22 and answer to the question 37 on Porter's speech. 24. Held I but died an hour, ellipsis, to brag of. Act 2, Scene 3, page 67. This is Macbeth's speech in the discovery scene. Macbeth is playing a part here and playing it with consummate skill and wonderful self-mastery. When the murder of Duncan is discovered, and Macduff and others have come to know of it, Macbeth feigns ignorance and expresses his astonishment and remorse at the horror of it. But his words are not all hypocrisy, his grief not wholly feigned. In this speech, he says that if he had been fortunate so as to have died even an hour before this mishap, he could have claimed that he had lived a happy life. Human life holds no real attraction for him. Everything in life is trivial. Fame and grace are no more. They have quitted the world with the death of Duncan. They were embodied in the famous and virtuous Duncan. Whatever was inspiring and attractive is no more. Life has ceased to have any meaning and charm for him. To continue to live now is to dunk the dregs after the supply of wine has run short. To drink the dregs after the supply of wine has run short. The king is the wine of life because he gives nourishment to life. Macbeth here is in the throes of remorse. He feels that the glory has departed from his life. Macbeth wants to be hypocritical. The speech is meant to deceive those who are near him, but it utters at the same time his profoundest feelings. Middleton Murray makes a comment. His comment is significant. Quote, "The irony is appalling, for Macbeth must need be conscious of the import of the words that come from him. He intends the monstrous hypocrisy of conventional lament for Duncan, but as the words leave his lips, they change their nature and become a doom upon himself. He becomes the instrument of the, quote, equivocation of the fiend that like truth." Unquote. Page 84. The style of the speech is simple, sensuous, and passionate, and bears the mark of sincerity of feeling. This is in glaring contrast to the artificial rhetoric and hypocritical hyperboles of other speeches in this scene. Word notes. Blessed time, happy. Mortality, human life, toys, trivial things. The wine of life, joys of life. Here, joys are embodied in the king. Lees, L-E-E-S, are dregs, the worst part of anything. Vault, one meaning is cellar in which wine barrels are kept. The second can be earth, that is vaulted by the sky. Brag is boast. Number 25. Here lay Duncan, ellipsis, for ruin's wasteful entrance. Act 2, Scene 3, page 68. This is what Macbeth says in reply to Macduff's question why he had killed the grooms. Macduff's question is one of intense suspicion. In reply, Macbeth makes a long thundering speech in order to hoodwink the listeners. Macbeth says that he has killed the grooms out of fury. Their hands were smeared with blood and the daggers lay by their sides. So he suspected them to be murderers of Duncan and has killed them. No man can act with discretion and moderation when he is violently agitated. His violent love ran faster than reason which is slow. Duncan lay in a pool of blood. His white skin is striped with blood. The idea is that The blood from Duncan's wounds has flowed all over his skin and looked like gold lace work on cloth of silver. The white skin of Duncan is compared to a white piece of cloth and blood to golden lacings. His gaping wounds seem to be gaps through which death entered and destroyed him. These wounds are unnatural openings in his body. They are likened to gaps in a fortification made by artillery. The attackers enter through the breach to lay waste the town. This speech is the expression of Macbeth's hypocrisy. Macbeth's degeneration has begun. His repellent metaphors and forced antithesis are the hyperboles of hypocrisy. The antithesis between silver skin and golden blood is feeble, and the metaphor of blood being described as gold lacework is disgusting. Johnson says, quote, Shakespeare put these forced and unnatural metaphors into the mouth of Macbeth as a mark of artifice and dissimulation, to show the difference between the studied language of hypocrisy and the natural outcries of sudden passion, unquote. Silver skirt, within quotes, and golden blood, within quotes, are both unnatural phrases. They are meant to jar on the mind to indicate that Macbeth's emotion is hypocritical. A critic has, however, interpreted that even in this hypocritical speech, we can detect a note of remorse. He sees the blood of Duncan as golden because Duncan transcended to heaven. The sunlight falling on the blood looks heavenly. Macbeth regrets that he is left on earth while Duncan enjoys heavenly glory. Word notes laced with is striped. Cross-refer to Romeo and Juliet Act 3, Scene 5, Lines 8 and Cymbeline Act 2, Scene 2, Lines 22. Gashed stabs, gaping wounds. Breach in nature the wounds are likened to gaps in a fortification made by artillery. For ruin's wasteful entrance, ruin is death entered through these gaps and destroyed him. Quote, the attackers enter through the breach to lay waste the town, unquote. This is by Kitteridge, Kitteridge. 26. Fears and scruples shake us. Ellipsis. Treasonous malice. Treasonous malice. Act 2, Scene 3, page 70. These lines are uttered by Banquo in the discovery scene. Here is bold Banquo declaring solemnly his determination to expose the murderer of Duncan. Page 85. Banquo says this before all when Duncan's murder is discovered. Macduff suspects Macbeth for his killing the grooms. Macbeth indulges in hypocritical hyperboles. Lady Macbeth cannot stand the shock. She is carried away in a fainting fit. Banquo then says that when we have put on our dress and thus covered our bodies, which are now exposed to cold, quote, they have come straight from, within brackets, they have come straight from bed. All but Macduff and Lennox are in nightgowns with bare throats and legs, bracket closed, comma. We shall meet together and discuss this subject of cold-blooded murder. Then he utters these solemn words, revealing shocked indignation. He declares that he commits himself to God for protection against the dangers that threaten them, and pledges himself to make war on the unknown design of malicious traitors. These lines reveal a heroic Banquo. This aspect of Banquo's character is, however, not developed in the action of the drama. Here he declares himself openly against Macbeth. The words convey a challenge to Macbeth. These utterances clearly show that Banquo is not an accomplice in murder as Bradley suggests. But Banquo does not carry out his pledge into practice. He accepts Macbeth as the King of Scotland although he knows that Macbeth, quote, played foully for it, unquote. Grierson remarks that Banquo is not a hero. Percival points out that Banquo's loyalty is conventional. The fact is that Shakespeare suggests some features of heroism in the character of Banquo because he is the ancestor of James I, but he cannot develop them because that will defeat the purpose of the dramatist. Banquo, instead of Macbeth, will be the hero of the play. Word notes. Word notes. In the great hand of God, that is, I commit myself to God for protection. The undivulged pretense, that is, unknown design. Treasonous malice, treasonable malice or malicious treason, that is, evil-minded culprits guilty of treason. 27. A falcon towering in her pride of place was by a mousing owl hawked at and killed. Act 2, Scene 4, page 72. This is a part of the conversation between Ross and an old man. They are discussing the abnormal happenings in nature and in the animal world. The frenzied heavens are repeating the horrors of the human world. Prodigies are reported after Holinshed's account of the portents accompanying the death of King Puff. One of these abnormal events is that a falcon, towering proudly aloft, is preyed upon by an owl. This is most unnatural. Usually falcons pounce upon owls, and owls keep close to the ground and prey upon mice. They do not fly high up. So it is not possible for them to prey upon and kill a hawk poised at the highest point of her flight. So one realizes how the course of nature has gone awry. Shakespeare uses metaphors taken from falconry. The contrast is between the sporting hawk who catches her prey high in the air and the contemptible owl who catches its prey on the ground. The suggestion is that Macbeth is killing his guest, that is, the falcon, by treachery and stealth of night, has acted like a mousing owl. The mousing owl and the rebellious horse symbolize the traitor who struck the king. Unquote. This is from Chamber. The two lines are based on Holinshed's sentence. There, quote, there was a spark hawk also strangled by an owl. Unquote.